Every spell you've ever cast, every ritual you've performed, every manifestation attempt that fizzled out, they all failed for the same reason. You were only working with half of yourself. You've got the crystals. The candles are the right color. You timed the ritual to the moon phase, said the words with intention, visualized exactly what you want. And still, nothing. Or worse, the opposite of what you asked for shows up. Here's what nobody tells you. Most magical teaching is obsessed with what you want to attract. The perfect partner, the abundance, the protection, the clarity. Light and love and manifestation energy. But there's a reason it's not working, and it has nothing to do with whether you're doing it right. You're broadcasting two signals at once. One part of you is casting the spell, asking for love, calling in success. The other part, the part you're not looking at, the part you've shoved into the basement of your psyche, is screaming the exact opposite. I'm not worthy. I'll mess this up. People like me don't get that. Love isn't safe. Your magic isn't broken. You're just trying to drive forward with the emergency brake on. Every intention you set hits the wall of everything you haven't processed, everything you're afraid to admit, everything you've spent years pretending isn't there. And that wall always wins. Here's what Jung actually said about the shadow, and it's not what most people think. The shadow isn't some demon lurking in your psyche. It's not evil. It's everything you've been taught is unacceptable about yourself. Every part of you that didn't fit the script. Your anger when you were supposed to smile. Your hunger when you were supposed to be grateful for scraps. Your messiness when perfection was the only currency. Your raw, unfiltered want when wanting too much made you difficult. These aren't character flaws. They're pieces of you that got exiled because someone, your family, your culture, your religion, decided they were too much. Too loud. Too selfish. Too dark. So you shoved them down. You learned to perform the acceptable version. And you thought that made you good. But here's Jung's actual revelation, the one that changes everything. What you don't own consciously, you act out unconsciously. Those parts you buried, they didn't disappear. They're running the show from underneath. That anger you won't admit to, it leaks out as passive aggression, as sudden explosions over nothing. That hunger you won't claim, it drives you into relationships where you settle, where you shrink, because asking for what you actually want feels too dangerous. The shadow sabotages everything you're trying to build, not because it's evil, but because it's trying to be seen. Here's the thing which is understood that got written out of the mainstream story. The descent is the work. Every single culture that practiced real transformative magic had a version of the same journey. Inanna strips herself bare at each gate of the underworld. Persephone eats the pomegranate seeds and can't go back to who she was. Psyche has to sort seeds in the dark and fetch water from the river of the dead. These aren't cautionary tales. They're instruction manuals. The descent myths are shadow work dressed up as bedtime stories, and they all say the same thing. You have to go down before you can come back up changed. Traditional initiation always worked this way. You didn't just learn spells and light candles. You confronted what terrified you most about yourself, your rage, your grief, the parts of you that didn't fit the acceptable story. You met those things in ritual space where they could be witnessed and integrated instead of shoved down deeper. And the dark goddess, Hecate, Kali, the Morrigan, Ereshkigal, she's not there to punish you. She's the one who refuses to let you keep lying to yourself. She strips away the performance, the persona, the pretty version you show the world. Not because she's cruel, but because you can't grow in a costume. The real magic happens when you stop pretending you don't have shadows and start working with them instead. That's when the power comes. Here's what actually happens when you try to do magic without addressing your shadow. You light the candles, you speak the words, you visualize abundance flowing into your life, and somewhere deep in your unconscious, a voice whispers, "People like you don't get to have that. You're not worthy of that kind of success." And guess which belief wins? Not the one you're saying out loud. The one you've been carrying since you were 7 years old and learned that wanting things made you selfish. You cast spells for love while your shadow mind is absolutely convinced you're too much. Too needy. Too broken. Too intense. So you call someone in, and the moment they get close, you do that thing you always do. You test them, you push them away, you prove to yourself that you were right all along. No one stays. And you blame the spell. You blame Mercury. You blame them. But your shadow knew exactly what it was doing. This is the thing nobody tells you about manifestation. Your conscious mind sets the intention, but your shadow mind controls the thermostat on what you're actually willing to receive. It doesn't matter how perfect your ritual is if the person running it doesn't believe they deserve what they're asking for. Your magic isn't failing. Your magic is working exactly as designed. It's just that half of you is working against the other half, and the shadow always has home advantage. So what does this actually look like in practice? Because shadow work isn't some nebulous concept you need a PhD to access. It's simpler than you think, and way more uncomfortable. Start here. Notice what you judge hardest in other people. The traits that make your skin crawl, the behaviors that set your teeth on edge. That visceral reaction, that's your shadow waving at you. We don't get triggered by things that aren't living somewhere inside us. The narcissist you can't stand, the attention seeker who makes you roll your eyes, they're showing you the parts of yourself you've buried so deep you can't see them anymore. Next, journal the voice. You know the one. The voice that says you're failing, you're not enough, you'll never get it right. Don't argue with it. Don't try to positive affirmation it away. Write it down word for word, and then ask it what it's actually protecting you from. Because that voice isn't your enemy, it's a very old defense mechanism doing its best to keep you safe. It just doesn't realize the threat is long gone. And if you want to get ritual about it, light a black candle. Sit with it. Speak directly to the part of you that you've been trying to exile. Not to destroy it. Not to fix it. Just to acknowledge it's there. To say, "I see you. I'm not afraid of you anymore." That moment of recognition is where the real magic starts. Here's what shifts when you finally turn around and face it. Your magic stops feeling like you're pushing a boulder uphill. It starts flowing because you're finally aligned, not performing some perfect version of yourself, but working from your actual center of gravity. The things you wanted, the life, the power, the love, they stop feeling forbidden or impossible. Because you're no longer fighting yourself for them. You're not splitting your energy between wanting something and secretly believing you don't deserve it. That internal war ends. And suddenly there's so much more of you available. You become more powerful not by being perfect, but by being whole. And that's the real initiatory secret they don't tell you. Wholeness isn't about eliminating the dark parts. It's about integrating them, letting them inform you, letting them make you more human, more real, more dangerously effective. The shadow isn't what you need to defeat. It's what you need to finally meet. And the moment you do, every door you've been trying to force open starts to unlock from the inside. Follow Blackfire Atelier. I'll see you in the shadows.